Good morning, Representative Marie Woodson. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Mr. Bosque. Thanks for having me.
Sure. We extended the same invitation to your opponent. He has not taken advantage of it. He's not here. We had hoped to have an exchange with both candidates this morning. Marie, what did you learn in your first term in the Florida House, and what do you hope to accomplish in a second term?
Thank you very much, Mr. Bosque, for this question. Actually, as you know, I got elected in 2020 to serve the resident of House District 101. And one thing that I learned, having been in county government my entire career, I learned one thing: you have to know how to work with the other side in order to get things done in Tallahassee. First, experience matters, and it matters if you have been in government or you have served in the state legislature. It would help you more to get certain things done. As you know, I've worked for county government for over 30 years before I was elected. Not only that, I was a member of the Commission for Women, a member of the Legislative Committee, as well as the chairwoman of the Miami-Dade County Commission for Women. So my experience working in county government and also my volunteer work in the community has helped me to get a lot done on my first year in Tallahassee. I was able to pass 5 bills on my first year. Not only that, I was able to secure also $2.2 million in the budget, even though some of it was vetoed by the governor. But I learned one thing: you have to know how to work with the other side. We have 78 Republicans, we have 42 Democrats. So if you don't know how to reach across the aisle, no matter how things are, to get things done, you will never get anything done in Tallahassee. And I intend to continue the work that I have been doing with my Democratic colleagues and my Republican colleagues in order to better serve the residents of my district in the state of Florida. As you know, when you pass a bill, it doesn't just serve your district. It applies to the entire state of Florida. Right. So thank you so much.
Name a Republican in the Florida House. Name a specific Republican that you have an ability to work with across the aisle.
I would say Rep. Avila. Rep. Avila is very approachable. And I have some other ones that I can work with also. Tell you the truth, I try to work with everyone, no matter who they are. Because I had one bill, actually, that I kept going back and forth to the chair in order to get my bill done. I went about 8 times, and I say I would not stop going until I get my bill agendaed. So Avila, I would say, would be the first one, actually.
Okay. Representative Brian Avila.
Avila.
Who's a longtime resident of legislator from Miami-Dade.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. By the way, the items that you got into the budget that were vetoed, did you get a heads up? Did you get an alert, a notification from the governor's office? Hey, we can't support this project. It's being vetoed for the following reasons. Did you ever get an explanation why it was vetoed?
I did not get an explanation. And one of the ones that was vetoed that I was really shocked was a $500,000 that I was able to secure for a mobile breast cancer unit for the West Park area. Something that I work with Memorial Hospital, actually, to secure it. And it was vetoed. And that one really hurt me because I know that area needs that mobile unit. That could have served a lot of women. As you know, we have so many women who are being diagnosed with breast cancer, and a lot of them don't have access to the healthcare system. So I did not get an explanation, but I intend to go back and try to secure that funding next year. Hopefully we can get it in the budget and get it signed by the governor's office as well.
Do you have a political committee in addition to your campaign? Do you have a separate committee, Friends of Marie Woodson, something like that you also raise money for?
I did not have one, Steve. I just opened one, actually. Just opened it. It's not even in operation well yet, because I went to my first year. I was able to raise $150,000 just myself, calling everyday people and asked to support my campaign. And I had gotten great support from the constituents who really friends and constituents who really wanted to see me in office. So I just opened one, because I know it helps you. As you see, I have been working very hard in the district and also in Tallahassee, and I do have 2 opponents. So you need money to run your campaign in order to make sure that you continue the work. So I just opened the path.
What's the name of the committee?
Strong Voices for Florida.
Okay. I'll say right now, it's just, and you've certainly read about it. This editorial board of this newspaper is not a big proponent of these committees. They are many people in both parties have them. Statewide candidates have them. They are a way to evade contribution limits, and in some cases, not the majority, but in some cases, in some prominent cases, large sums of money are transferred between committees, and it is impossible to trace sort of the origin of a donation. In other words, Committee A writes a check to Committee B, which then sends money to Committee C, which then gives money to Committee D. By the time it gets 4 or 5, layers down the road, it is impossible to determine, what that money is being used for and who donated it. And of course, it ends up being used for a scurrilous attack piece of direct mail. So I'm not suggesting you would do this, but that's what we see.
And I agree with you and some of the pacts, but as you know, I'm someone who takes great pride in keeping my name clean. I don't intend to do that. I have had, so for example, you might have a colleague who does not have any opponent and who decide to give you some money to help your campaign. And I did not open a pact to evade money or try to hide money, because this is not me. I have had a career, as you know, in county government, and I've been to the legislature. I'm someone who believes in keeping my nose clean because I care about my name. I care about my reputation. So that's not my intention at all. And my intention is to raise more money, because you see a lot of people are coming, for the seats. And I don't believe the seat belongs to me, but I have a way to raise some money and be able to to pay for the campaign, because it takes a lot of money to run a campaign. And that's the only reason that I open it. I would assure you that's not my intention at all, to have money, to try to hide money or whoever you get the money from. I intend to keep a clean pact, and people would be able to trace the money where the money comes from.
Okay. I'm going to ask you one more question in this segment here, and then I'm going to open the floor to my colleague, Martin Dykeman. My question is this, for those who do not live in House District 105. As you said, you now represent District 101. It is going to be 105. But tell us how has the district changed in terms of what's in it and what's not in it?
Very good questions. I was very fortunate because I just got elected a year and 8 months ago, 7 going on 8 months ago. And I was very fortunate because the district did not change that much. I got to keep the same parts of Hollywood, Pembroke Pines, Miramar, Hallandale, West Park that I had in the district. I have acquired a little piece west of Miramar and also a little piece north of Taft Street, from Taft going to Sheridan, which is exactly the area that I live in. And the one in Miramar, it's like 5 minutes. I even walked that area, even though it was not in my district last time when I was walking. So the people of District 101 got to keep me in 105 because my district did not change that much as a result of redistricting.
All right, thank you very much. That's very fortunate for you, because that's not the case for some of your colleagues, as you know. Go ahead, Martin Dykeman.
I agree.
Let me unmute. A significant number of your qualifying petitions came from Orange and Seminole counties, which are nowhere near either the district. I'm curious how that's possible to collect petitions statewide for a local race.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Dykeman. This is it's a good question that you ask. One process that we have put in place as a result of the pandemic and redistricting, the state of Florida have put this process in place that you can collect petitions throughout the state, as opposed to prior, you were supposed to collect those petitions in your counties of residence. So as a result of that, we were able to reach out to being a Democrat, we were able to reach out to the Democratic caucus clubs throughout the state of Florida, and we were able to get petitions throughout the state as opposed to just throughout your county of residence. That was a rule that was put in place, and we all took advantage of it and get those petitions. Because as a result of COVID, a lot of people were not even allowing you to come to the home to get those petitions signed for you. So the law was put in place, everyone took advantage of it and got those petitions signed.
All right. Have you been walking door to door in your district?
Yes, Mr. Bosque. I've been walking door to door. As a matter of fact, Saturday, I walk until like 9 o'clock at night. It got dark out there, and I was still walking because some of the constituents wanted to talk to me. I walk Saturday, I walk during the weekday as well. But the difference is during my first year in office, I did not have my office. I was just a candidate. Now I have my office to run, and also I have the campaign to run. So I would go to the office during the day to work, do what I need to do, and then I go home, change, and hit the ground and go knock on doors. I have been talking to a lot of the constituents, and I hear them, I hear the messages, and I intend to go back to Tallahassee and fight for them.
Okay. I do want to ask you about this. This is an example of the new voter information card that is being distributed by Joe Scott, the Broward Supervisor of Elections. It folds into, 1/3 its size, but it is not the old traditional wallet-sized little voter card. Have you had experiences? Are voters confused by these cards?
I had a few voters who had some comments, but a lot of voters told me it's pretty legible, it's pretty understandable, but some voters did have some, they said that it was a little too big, that they cannot put it on their wallet. And we have shared that information with the Supervisor of Election, Joe Scott, which I have a good relationship with. Yes, some people have concerns. And of course, a year of redistricting information come down late. So Joe tried the best that he could in order to put this card in place. However, when you have a new process in place, you're going to have feedback from people, and you're going to try to do better the next time. So that's most of the concern that I've been getting, that the card was a little too big, but not really as far as the information that's in there. If anything, a lot of people like the fact that they have the information that he has put in that card that helps them to understand the process more.
Okay. And a related question is this. Some of this is unavoidable, but have the locations of voting precincts in your district changed? And
yes,
what's the reaction about that from voters, if any?
Yes, a lot of those precincts have changed as a result of redistricting, because as you know, in a year of redistricting, you have population growth. So we have acquired more constituents in our district. And so the Supervisor of Election has to deal with that. Yes, a lot of the precincts have changed, and a lot of the people have received the information in the mail. So people who call my office and say they have not received it, I made sure that my staff and myself, we have them to contact the Supervisor of Elections right away. And I also share the concern with the Supervisor of Elections to make sure that people are getting their precinct so they would know where to vote. And one thing that I made sure that myself, my staff, and some of my colleagues also are doing also, we telling people, even though you have not received this card, doing early voting, you can go to any place in Broward County. You don't have to go to your assigned precinct as you need to do on election day. So take advantage of the early voting period so you can go and cast your vote. Just in case if you did not get that precinct number, you would be able to do it anywhere in Broward County or Dade County, wherever your place of residence is.
Okay. In the last session of the Florida legislature, you voted against the bill that prohibits the teaching of critical race theory in schools in Florida. And it's that bill that has the language in it that makes it illegal to make people feel discomfort over the content of certain teaching that is race related, race based. Why did you vote against that bill?
First, thank you very much for asking me this question, because one thing about me, every time I step in the House of Representatives, every time I step in the room, I always remember two things: the people who elected me, who sent me to Tallahassee, and I also remember my conscience, because you have to make sure you vote for the people who elected you in office, and also based on what you strongly believe in. So in this bill, I believe you know me better once you have a conversation with me and you know my history. I'm originally from Haiti, and usually when people see me, they don't know what I'm about. They learn to accept me better or tolerate me better once they hear my story. And I think as children, we need to make sure they understand the history, because if they don't understand each other, how do we expect them to relate to each other, to get along with each other, to respect each other, to tolerate each other? So this is a bill that I felt very strong about, because I don't believe that history would make children feel uncomfortable. We have teachers who have been teaching, who understand history. So I don't believe that would make them, if anything, I think it would help kids to understand each other better, to respect them, and be able to live in this world as we have been put in there, to work with each other, to live with each other, to respect each other.
Okay, all right. I think that's well said. I'm going to open the floor to Dan Sweeney and to Martin Dykeman.
I have one quick question. You asked, you mentioned earlier that you got 5 bills passed this past session. Are those bills that among the 6 bills that you were allowed to file as a member of the House?
Among the 7 bills.
7, sorry.
Yeah, if we used to do 6, it went up to 7. And I co-sponsor a lot of bills, but those bills were bills that I really worked on from day one. When I came, I hit the ball running, because as a freshman, as a newbie, it's not easy to go to Tallahassee and be able to work your way and be able to pass one bill, let alone one bill. And I'm very glad to say, yes, I was able to do that during my first year, during my first cycle in Tallahassee. And
Okay.
I intend to continue to do that. Yes.
Give voters an example of what you're talking about here when you say you got 5 bills passed. Can you highlight one that's a particularly significant change in state law, or that will significantly affect your constituents?
Okay. So one of them that I would talk about would be the homeless youth bill. Homeless youth. I used to work in the juvenile court, and it used to hurt me when I see those kids turn 18. And what we used to do, we used to give them the clothes in a plastic bag and $50 and throw them out there in the street. And as a mother, that used to hurt me so bad to see a kid that I've been bounced from one home to the other, never really had any family support like my kids or your kids would have. And we send them out there in the world to navigate this world by themselves. What happened? They end up going back into the juvenile justice system, or they end up going back to prison. So I've worked on this bill with a lot of different organizations, and I'm glad to say that I was able to put this bill, to pass this bill in the House, and it passed also in the Senate, in order to provide some relief to those kids. This bill requires the state to provide the support system that those kids need in order for them to become self-sufficient. A driver's license, a birth certificate. When they get out, they don't have the money to get those documents. So, and a lot more. And I intend to keep working on this bill, even though the bill was passed, but I want to do even more for those kids, because I'm very passionate about them. And I have so many one, I can't even give you a rundown. I have the additional homestead exemption for seniors in the state of Florida, not just in Broward. I was able to pass that bill too. I had a taxation bill. If your house gets burned down by an act of God, what usually happens, you have to pay taxes for the whole year, even though you could not live in that home for half of the year. What happened in Surfside and so many other places, not just that. I had constituents whose houses got burned down and they have to pay taxes the entire year. So I was able to pass this taxation bill in Tallahassee that would allow you to pay taxes just for the time that you were able to live in that home. And they like that bill so much that they put it in the taxation package that was signed by the governor. So just a little rundown on some of the bills that are passed.
Okay, thanks. I see Martin Dykeman's hands up, so I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you.
The bill we were talking about, the bill to prohibit the schools from teaching what they're not teaching, also applies to private businesses. Most large businesses, as we know, are sensibly conduct racial sensitivity training for their employees. They have to stay in business and avoid conflicting with federal law. That exposes them to lawsuits as well. I've asked this question of other candidates. Was there any sign of the business lobby alerting to the danger in that bill that it poses to them? And did you hear from any business lobbyists saying, please oppose it for this reason?
We did not hear too much from the business, who I'll tell you the truth about this bill. And I think one thing that needs to happen, when those bills come to us, people need to be more engaged. The business community need to be more engaged. The people need to be more engaged. We do have some people and some lobbyists who might call you and tell you, okay, this bill is coming up. Can I get your support? And to me, sometimes it's not about them. It's about the people. It's about looking at the bill, see how the bill can benefit the community. What population would this bill hurt more? One thing I do in Tallahassee, when I'm in Tallahassee, I get minimum sleep because you have all those bills and I'm not voting on the bill unless I really read the bill, ask questions about the bill, dissect that bill, know what I'm voting on. And one thing also, I get a lot of emails from my constituents, from the resident of the state of Florida. I take all of it serious. So I make the time to make sure I understand the bill, I ask questions, I get the answers that I need, and if not, I do what I need to do in order to make sure I really do the people justice who sent me up there to Tallahassee.
Representative Woodson, do you agree that the state of Florida needs an election security crime division in the Department of State where sworn investigators and law enforcement can independently investigate allegations of election fraud?
Mr. Bosque, I would say no, I do not. And I would tell you why. We had an election in Florida, the last election that I had, where everyone stated that we had, not even everyone, the leadership stated that we had the best election in the country. We did not have fraud. Everything went well. Everything went smooth. Now, we going during COVID. As I mentioned to you, my mobile breast cancer unit that I was looking for to serve this underprivileged area of my district did not get signed. Now, why are we allocating so much money for a police force that we don't even need? I don't believe that we need it. I think we have, and this is why I did not vote for that bill. I voted down on the bill because we do not need a police force in the state of Florida right now. To me, it's we can use that money to provide other services that our residents need, that our constituents need. So that's not something that I believe that we need.
Okay, very good. All right. I want to ask you about something that another one of your Democratic colleagues raised in a discussion the other day, and she described a culture in Tallahassee in which the Speaker's office, which is obviously run by Republicans, the Speaker's office exerts tremendous top-down control over members. You need the Speaker's office permission. If you're going to write an opinion article for your local newspaper, our paper, they have to approve it. Have you had any experience with the Speaker's office exerting additional control over how you operate your office?
No, definitely not. No,
Okay.
Definitely not. I try to keep a good relationship with the Speaker's office because yes, they do, that's the leadership, but I have never experienced anything where they told me that I had to get permission from them to do something in my office. If anything, I go to our office, the Democratic Caucus office, and do what I need to do. But as far as the relationship, like if I have to get something from the Speaker's office, I've never been told that I couldn't do something. No, I never had that type of experience. And like I said, in the Democrat, I have heard people talking about, oh, they have to have permission, before they can do something, or even sometimes if they have to do something that is work related. But me, no, I never had that type of experience. No.
Okay. One of the bills you filed last session would have given a tax break to, I think, to landlords and developers who created affordable housing for low-income people, for college students and others. Okay. Number one, we've got a serious affordable housing crisis in this country, in this state, in South Florida. Number two, Republicans who run the show up there are always in favor of giving tax breaks to somebody. You know that. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, if I read the index correctly, this bill didn't even get heard in the House. What happened?
I will tell you exactly what happened. I have been going around talking to college students. As you know, even my office is on a college campus in Broward County. So I have been talking to the students, and I have been seeing what's going on with the housing market. We're telling a lot of young people to go to school, get a degree, and you get to live your American dream. You get to buy a home. Guess what? 90% of those kids right now cannot afford to buy a home. They can't even afford to rent an apartment. And what happened to those kids, by them going to college, get a degree, they can't afford a home, they end up staying with mom and dad. And what happened? They end up being depressed, they have anxiety and all kind of issues that will even cost us a lot more money than if we have provided them with a way out. And they are trying very hard. See, I have students who are telling me, let's just say they find a home. They want to buy this little townhouse or little home. If the home was listed, for example, for $250,000, someone else would come with cash money and pay $270,000 or $280,000 or even $300,000, pay more than the listing price in order for them to get the home. So which means they cannot afford to buy a home. They cannot afford to be on their own. So as a result of that, I was brainstorming, saying, how can we bring some relief to those kids? There's no more land in certain areas, as you know, of Dade County and Broward County to build. So brainstorming with my staff, with some other people, we came up with the idea, how about giving a small percentage of a tax break to owners or the developers or whoever can get affordable housing for that population. And I thought that would be a great bill to get some relief to the younger generation who are trying to get a home. They did not even want to listen to it. Someone even told me, one of my colleagues told me, my kids did it alone. Why should I get anything to other kids? And that bothered me a lot because I felt like as a state, as a nation, we are responsible to make sure that those kids are self-sufficient. Because if they took the time to go to school, better themselves, get an education, why can't we help them? I don't believe on giving. I believe on giving you a way out. If we help them to get that home, then they would be able to accomplish a lot more instead of getting depressed, anxiety, then it goes to mental health. Then who is paying? We're going to end up paying more money at the end than helping them on the front end. So that's why I came up with this bill.
Okay. All right. Good enough.
And I would look at it again, Steve. I would try to get it back and, kind of change it maybe a little bit, because I believe that we owe it to the younger generation to help them to move up as opposed to regressing.
Did you say, did I hear you correctly, that the Pembroke Pines campus of Broward College is in your district?
Yes, I am. That's the South Broward on
Okay.
Pines. Yeah, that's where my office is. Yes.
Okay. What's the if you go out Pines Boulevard, what's the western boundary of District 105? How far west is it?
Okay, the western from Pembroke Pines is on University, but from University going to Miramar, I acquired that area called Sherman Circle. It's like a circle that I inherited west on the west side of Miramar. So but it really goes to University all the way to Dixie Highway, and then from the south end is County Line Road. From the north end is Sheridan. So I've got that part called Sherman Circle on the west side of Miramar.
Okay. If my colleagues, Martin Dykeman and Dan Sweeney, don't have any other questions, I'm going to thank you for your time this morning, but I'm also going to give you the opportunity to take maybe a minute and a half and give us a closing statement, why you think you deserve a second term in the Florida House of Representatives.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bosque, Mr. Sweeney, Mr. Dykeman. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you this morning and also to talk to the viewers. I believe that I deserve a second chance because I have proven myself on my first year in the legislature that I can serve the residents of this district. I have done my best on my first year. I have gone up there and worked with the other side and get things done in a climate where most people would say, hey, it's not even, I'm not going to even try because things not going to happen. But that's not the case for me. I have a proven track record that I can deliver for you in Tallahassee. And a year, I don't think it's enough to get what you need to do in during those 2 years. So I'm asking for a chance to go to Tallahassee. I have been endorsed by almost all my colleagues. I have been endorsed by the Medical Association, the Florida Medical Association. I have been endorsed by them. I have been endorsed by Florida Education Association, FEA, FCIU, Florida College Democrats, Roofs List of Florida. I have been endorsed by so many organizations, the union, AFL-CIO, SEIU. I have been endorsed by the city of Hollywood, all the commissioners, mayors. So I have a lot of endorsement because people see the work that I'm doing and they believe also in me. They respect you as an elected official. And I mean respect, they respect the work that you're doing. So I'm asking for a chance to go back to Tallahassee to continue this work. I was endorsed by the Sun Sentinel last time, and I hope you can give me a chance also of endorsing me a second time in order to send me back to Tallahassee to do the work of the people. Thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. I appreciate you keeping us on our toes because we need to be held accountable as elected officials because we are here to serve, and I intend to serve with respect, dignity, and also to be accountable to the people. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I want to thank you for your time.